Madison Cawthorn has an interesting take on why the Second Amendment to the Constitution exists. He believes that we have the right to bear arms for a very specific reason, not for reasons that ordinary Americans think. So let's hear what he has to say.
Let me tell you, the Second Amendment is not written for sporting. The Second Amendment is so that the tyrannical government ever wants to rise up, we can stop them. And if anybody ever wants to say, oh, well, you know what, citizens with a few small arms fire would never be able to stop the federal government. I absolutely disagree. Ask the Viet Cong how they handled the Marines and the Army in Vietnam.
So there are a number of things to touch on, lots of things to unpack in that short statement. First off, any American who's under the assumption that a civilian army or a group of civilians can take on the US military. I mean, where are your drones? Where are your, I mean, they have insane weaponry in the military. The whole reason why we keep engaging in conflicts that we have no business engaging in, well, a huge part of the reason why is to keep that money train, that gravy train going for weapons manufacturers and private contractors. So, I mean, look, you might have a giant arsenal of weaponry yourself, but nothing matches up to what the US military has. So that idea, it's just one of the most, I don't know if they're really that naive and delusional or if they're just saying it to fire people up. I don't know.
Well, on that count, I think that's their fantasies, and so it doesn't matter if they think they believe it or not. I mean, in your daydreams, do you believe everything that's going to happen? But you still have that daydream, right? And this is their daydream: is to murder American troops and American cops when they decide that America has become a tyranny. In other words, we don't get to rule over you anymore. Now we have equality. That's tyranny to us. Okay, let's go kill Americans. And so, yeah. I'm not exaggerating when you hear a Republican congressman say that, and he's celebrating the deaths of the Marines, et cetera.
Right, I mean, he mentions the Viet Cong. Like, the Viet Cong was not a good thing for the US military. Like, yeah. he knows that.
So look, we should have never gone to Vietnam, and it was insane. And I understand why the Viet Cong did what they did. But they killed US Marines and soldiers, not anything to celebrate. Nothing, no part of that war should be celebrated.
Exactly.
Right? But this guy's saying it like, remember the Viet Cong killed US Marines, so can we. But that's what he's saying, that's what he's implying. He's saying like, oh, you think we can't kill enough American soldiers? The Viet Cong did. I mean, it's an unbelievable thing to say. So now, Mehdi Hassan, great progressive, made a very good point on Twitter. He said,
we have it, let's go to that graphic.
Yeah. Imagine, just imagine if Ilhan Omar had said this, right? And people would have lost their minds. And at the time, the Viet Cong were our enemy. They shouldn't have been, we shouldn't have invaded, but they were, right? Imagine if Ilhan Omar or anybody else said, oh, well, you think we can't kill American soldiers with our Second Amendment rights with small firearms? The Taliban did a great job at it. Right? That's what he's saying. And Republicans don't care. They're like, yeah, when do we kill the Americans? When do we kill them? Yeah, I got my Second Amendment. It's not for hunting. It's for murdering US soldiers and cops.
So why exactly would a Republican feel so comfortable making a point like that? Is it because the military didn't back Trump's efforts to overturn the 2020 elections? Could that be part of the reason why? I mean, it's just such a strange thing to bring up. The GOP is always gonna support and bolster ridiculous arguments in regard to preventing gun control. So I'm guessing that's what the point of the whole conversation was. They can make that point without directing violence toward the military or talking about the potential of needing to direct violence toward the military. I just think it's strange that he made that point, but he's also a bit of a doofus. So who knows? Maybe he didn't really think it out before saying it. I don't know.
No, but Anna, I don't want to dismiss it as a doofus because is he really gonna fight a bear with his bare hand? That's funny, fight a bear with his bare hands. I got it from one of our viewers who just wrote in, Tannen, right? Thank you, Tannen, for bringing the point. Remember that survey that they did with guys saying, oh yeah, I think I could beat a bear and a rhino. in a barehanded fight, right? So maybe he's one of those guys. But that's, I'm not worried about him being goofy. I'm worried about him being dangerous because doesn't stand alone. If it was just an offhanded comment, which I'm sure it's happened before, outside of context, I'd say, guy's an idiot, let's move on, right? But now Lara Trump has said, grab your weapons and take things into your own hands. Matt Gaetz talked about how the Second Amendment is not for hunting, it's to stand up to tyranny and make sure you've got your weapons on you. And 28% of Republicans say that it might be time to resort to violence. They're literally pushing towards violence.
Yep.
This is a pattern. There's a very, very, very clear pattern. So when this guy says, now remember guys, everybody get ready to kill US Marines and soldiers like the Viet Cong did, that's the point of the Second Amendment. It's not only wrong, it's super dangerous. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.